Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are absolutely transforming how you view the cell. We're not just going to stare at some static, flat picture here. Instead, we're mapping out its most dynamic, bustling workspace.
Now, ask yourself, what exactly is the bustling factory floor of the cell? You know, the cytoplasm gets a bad rap. It's so often overlooked as just this boring, passive, jelly-like substance. But actually, it's the critical workspace where all the essential work gets done. Understanding the specific environment isn't just about passing biology, though hey, it'll absolutely earn you those crucial marks on your exams. It's really about grasping how life fundamentally operates. Without it, cells literally couldn't function.
Just quickly, here's our agenda for today's explainer. The cellular factory floor, anatomy of the protoplasm, inside the jelly, cracking the exam questions, dodging common misconceptions, and our final review and tips.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the cellular factory floor, where we define the space.
Okay, so the cytoplasm is the jelly-like substance that fills the cell, explicitly excluding the nucleus. Take a look at the boundary we're drawing here on screen. Notice how we've got a strict dimensional line? The central nucleus is completely grayed out. So everything inside that outer membrane, but specifically outside the nuclear envelope, that right there is our factory floor.
Moving right along to Section 2, anatomy of the protoplasm. Let's build the cell.
Let's build this protoplasm step by step using a chronological flowchart. Step 1, we lay down the cell membrane, which acts as our outer boundary. Step 2, we fill that space with the cytoplasm, right? That bustling jelly we just defined. And finally, Step 3, we drop in the nucleus right at the center. So, combining this outer membrane, the cytoplasm jelly, and the central nucleus sequentially is what builds the complete living protoplasm. So, the really crucial point here is understanding the physical makeup of this overall protoplasm. And that brings us to a super common and, hint hint, highly testable exam question. What is the main constituent in the protoplasm of a cell? Just look at the sheer scale of that primary slice on the chart. Water makes up an incredible 70 to 90% of the protoplasm. I mean, it physically outweighs all the other structural components combined. It just goes to show that this is, fundamentally, a highly aqueous environment. All right, Section 3, inside the jelly. Let's take a micro view. Let's zoom right inside the cytoplasm with this magnified insert bubble. See how highly kinetic this environment is? Follow those directional arrows. You're looking at energetic particles, dissolved proteins, active enzymes, sugars, and mineral salts, and they are in constant movement, colliding and flowing. It's totally not static, it is incredibly active. To make sense of this, let's use a literal factory equation. The workers, those are the enzymes, and the products, those are the metabolic reactions. Watch how these enzyme workers physically move through the cytoplasm, actively manufacturing the cell's necessary products right here on this fluid factory floor. Literally every chemical transformation, every energy exchange, all these metabolic reactions are happening right in this space. Let's pivot to Section 4, cracking the exam questions. Time to test your knowledge.
Okay, here's a classic question you're going to see. What are the three parts that make up the protoplasm of a cell? I'll actually pause for just a second so you can mentally rebuild that flowchart we mapped out a minute ago.
Did you get it? It's the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. If you have those three distinct structural steps visually labeled in your mind, you are securing full marks for sure. Let's test another one. What is the main constituent in the protoplasm of a cell? Now, this one is designed to test your memory on the proportions and that physical scale we just went over. Boom, 70 to 90% water. Try to lock in the visual memory of that massive slice from the chart earlier. It is all about grasping that volume and scale. Let's move to Section 5, dodging common misconceptions, basically fact versus fiction. All right, over on the left side, we've got the myth, thinking the cytoplasm is just some passive, empty filler space. Let's contrast that directly with the right side, the fact. It is a highly dynamic environment. You've got to replace this idea of empty space with the vector-filled reality of active enzymes moving along assembly lines, driving essential metabolic reactions. Guys, this is the engine room, not just packing peanuts. Now here is the second major trap. The myth is confusing the cytoplasm as being the exact same thing as the protoplasm. But the fact, the cytoplasm is only one component of the protoplasm. Make sure you visually separate the part from the whole.
The cytoplasm is just the jelly, but the protoplasm is the jelly plus the membrane plus the nucleus. Don't lose points on tricky exam wording by blending those call-out labels together.
Finally, Section 6, Final Review and Tips. Let's wrap this up. Let's quickly trigger your memory with 4 rapid-fire takeaways. 1. The cytoplasm is the jelly, explicitly excluding the nucleus. 2. It contains actively moving enzymes, sugars, and proteins. 3. It's the kinetic site of metabolic reactions. And 4. It is just one structural step within the larger protoplasm. And here's your ultimate exam tip. Whatever you do, don't just list facts. Examiners want to see that you actually understand the mechanics at play. So focus on explicitly explaining how the cytoplasm dynamically supports the activities of the organelles, acting as the crucial medium for metabolic processes. You have to explain the flow and the function, not just point at the jelly.
I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. If the cytoplasm truly is the factory floor, what happens to the entire cell if those enzyme workers suddenly stop manufacturing their metabolic products? Think about the cascading failure across that whole cellular flowchart. Understanding that interconnected, life-sustaining dependency is exactly what mastering biology is all about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time as we continue to visualize the fascinating mechanics of the world around us.